Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films. There's the depth chart of the offense, a little sneak preview for what's to come later in the show. Did that accidentally, but I'm gonna act like I did that on purpose. Had to add it to the view screen down there. Thank you all for joining us. Here we are back again, second week. Ravens live every Wednesday night. 8:30 is the time we're shooting for, and I'm joined by my two just awesome co-hosts. I mean, what a time we had last week. Can't wait to see the comments we get this week. Dawson's already in. Yo, what's up, Dawson? Nice to see you, man. Thank you so much for joining us with my two co-hosts. And at the beginning here, let's just talk about life for a second. Garnet, Sergeant West, you're up here at the top with me. How's life, sir? How's things going? How you feeling? All that good stuff.
Man, I'm doing good, man. Got a good phone call today. People gonna be coming to my house to fix my ceiling, fix my master bedroom, man. So I can't complain, man. Yeah.
What did you do to the ceiling, sir? Did you fall on the upstairs floor?
So I didn't do nothing. So I have a beautiful 3-year-old son that wanted to test out the toilet. He wanted to see if plastic little, Germex bottles can be flushed.
They can't. The answer was no.
No. So basically, the toilet got, the toilet overflowed. Water went through the cracks to the floor, and the water started coming through my ceiling fan, which, there's like a perfect rectangle cut right here in the ceiling. And yeah, thank God for home insurance. I'm not gonna plug in where I got it, with home insurance because we're not, being sponsored. But yeah.
Yeah, man, get us a sponsor. Get us a sponsor.
Thanks, Flo, if you know what I mean by Flo.
Yeah. What's up, Reggie? Right? I almost called you Reggie White because one of my favorite players of all time, non-Ravens, Reggie White, the Minister of Defense. Reggie Wright with us. Hey, salute back right to you. Huddle it up and the family. Love you. Got Garnet with me. Ashley, same question. How's it going? Life? Bet you can't top Garnet's ceiling repair story, though.
Unfortunately, no, nothing exciting. Just I started school this week, so I guess it's a creative outlet. It's better than just working all the time. I like having something to challenge my thinking.
So work does not challenge your thinking too much. It's just dealing with people, from what I understand.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say where I work, but it's retail, so it's a pretty mindless job.
She works at Goldman Sachs, ladies and gentlemen, making 6 figures, borderline 7. Do not let that young lady fool you. Smart as a whip. Garnet, he works in the military. So hey, Yuri checking in. Go and pull it up, bro. Let's ride, Marshall. Get that conversation started, brother. Let's ride Broncos country. Let's ride. So yes.
So I got one thing before we even start. We all got to do our perfect Ravens country. Let's ride. One each.
All right, I'll go ahead. They can screenshot this and have fun on the Twitter.
Let's go.
Ravens country. Let's ride.
Okay. All right. Ashley, let's go.
Like in a country accent?
Whatever. You can do it the Russell Wilson accent. You can do it or you can do your own.
Ravens country. Let's ride.
Hold on. I got to be where citric with mine. Hold
on.
Ravens country. Let's ride. There we go. All right, we're good.
Bro, no, get your mouth in your face.
Okay. Ravens country. Let's ride. There we go.
Yeah, that was the winner. So speaking of winners, the Ravens won their 21st preseason game in a row. Garnet, I know that brought joy to your heart, man, that preseason win streak.
Absolutely did. No injuries, or did we get an injury?
We did have an injury. We'll talk about those in a second. But, yes, Mr. Tylan Wallace out a couple of weeks. Looked like he came down hard on that knee when he got tackled. Easy to see where the injury was. Hopefully that's not too severe. But we're going to start off, go around the table. Ladies first. Let's go a little reverse Uno right here. Ashley, stars from the game. Who stuck out to you or what stuck out to you? What did you like?
I have to admit you guys were right. Shamar Bridges. I really liked what I saw, and I watched the game with my dad, who's a Bears fan, a struggling Bears fan. He's pretty much a Ravens fan now because of me, but it takes a lot to move that man. So he was very moved by the performance, and we both agreed he looked like he had been making professional plays for years. He looks ready to me.
That's a thanks, pops. Hey, what I'm talking about, man. Oh, like back in the day, like the whole thing. I'm gonna pop my collar when it comes to a Shamar Bridges. Yeah, man. Double pop. It's just yeah. So Shamar Bridges, I would have felt real stupid hyping him up all this time, talking about he's gonna have a nice performance during the preseason. He showed up, man. He delivered. I knew he was gonna deliver. It's just the one thing that really I wasn't really shocked about it, but I'm glad it was on full display, even though the ball didn't go his way due to just the pocket collapsing on him. What's the slow go route? I know everybody's talking crazy about, oh my God, can't believe it, but Jason, we had a conversation over Twitter, over a thread where I showed him running a whip route at his size. And like when I saw that, I was like, holy crap. I'm trying to pardon not to curse, but it's hard for me. But I was like, holy crap, I can't he's that big doing that. So the fact that I, watched that 20-minute film of him at Fort Valley State, close to my hometown, 15 minutes away from and I saw that, I'm like, man, he can do everything. It's all about just the confidence of going out in the field and just being able to show it consistently. Don't be the Justin Harpers. Don't be the Tim Whites. We got to do this consistently. But I'm right there with Ashley on that.
He's there, man. I mean, Ashley mentioned it. He looks the part. I mean, just walking out on the field, when I saw those guys in person, it's like, who the heck is 85? And I kept thinking he was a tight end because it was Eric Tomlinson's number, and we've had some 85s in there. Definitely not Eric Tomlinson. I mean, and you mentioned it, Garnet. It was a one-on-one situation. Wasn't something where he was schemed open. He just mauled somebody down the sideline. So he's on that what I call the James Prochet of last year program now, where he's showing out, making his name during every practice. Padded practice today, Shamar Bridges making play. Preseason game, Shamar Bridges making plays. So when we go to that offensive depth chart earlier, man, he's looking really, really good. So another guy, my most pleasant surprise, because I don't know, like Shamar, I don't want to say I was shocked at what he did. Who I was shocked in a good way at what they did was Jawan James at left tackle, a man who hasn't played a lot of football in the last 3 years, was considered a good player, not, your all-pro right tackle. He's over there at left tackle in the most important position in the Ravens offense next to Lamar, protecting Lamar. And actually, to me, Jawan James looked like he didn't even belong on the field. It looked like he was the varsity practicing against the JV team. Did you notice any of Jawan out there?
Not particularly. I don't want to say it collapsed toward the end because I know that we're shuffling in players, but I still noticed that the line, it's always going to need improvement because we have Lamar Jackson there, and Lamar Jackson, his only injuries have come from the pocket, regardless of what, the media is saying. He's can't be taking those big hits. His only injuries have come from the pocket. So I just think that improvement, there's always room for improvement is what I'm saying.
Yeah, just to follow her on that. I think Jawan James, I feel like he figured out how to wipe his butt with his opposite hand a little bit, even though, he says it's pretty difficult. I think he did a serviceable job out there. From what I was told from a good friend of mine that's actually watching this show, and it's verified that he's been griping about playing the position at left tackle, but for a guy that's griping about it, he's still doing a damn good job out there. If he can show another performance against the Arizona Cardinals and carry on to the Washington Commanders, I feel like I think I would feel safe for the first maybe 3 to 4 weeks if we don't want to rush back Street Clothes Stanley. I'm all about it.
I hear you, brother. I hear. I'm a little surprised to hear that. I mean, I know when Garnet tells me something that he got, it's 100% accurate. But I mean, if you haven't played a lot of football and you're with a team who took a chance on you last year, signed you when they didn't even know if you were going to play, let you work your way back. I mean, I'll just take it with a grain of salt and say the man looked good. Another name I want to bring up, unless Garnet, you want to bring up somebody this time? Who did you like from the preseason game?
Yeah, so for the preseason, I don't know if I want to go with my cornbread or if I want to go with my collard greens, man. It's tough. So, but I'll just I'll go with the cornbread, man, aka Fa'alele, man, the Australian cornbread. I'll go with him, man. I think he did a good job. It wasn't like nothing. It's one of those things where so let's break this down. So for a guy that has not been playing football for quite some time since high school, Minnesota, obviously, the short track record, right? And he looked pretty darn good out there and passed, held his ground. He might have had a couple mistakes. It's fine. It's preseason for that. But the fact when it came to like delivering his hands and just downhill mauling, it was there. Like it was there, man. So the little things, the little details like that made me happy.
Yeah, you hit it on the nail. I like that in the details.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, Ashley. This was a guy that it's like his conditioning, the fact that he was, he's Australian, took the short track to the NFL. Obviously, he's one of the largest, if not the largest man ever drafted, just statistically. To see him come out there in his first NFL action, and just to put it in, the worst possible terms, he wasn't a liability out there. Barely noticed him. And then, as Garnet referred to, when some of those combo blocks in the run game, and Zeitler or whoever was next to him was locked up, and Fa'alele was drive blocking and getting those big feet moving. I mean, wow, he was moving guys off the spot on those combo blocks. Great run blocker. I mean, Garnet, I think he could run block in the NFL right away. Love this comment from Mark, right, by the way, talking about Juwan James. Juwan James said, "I am a right tackle," according to Garnet West's sources. Love that, Mark. Thank you, man. That cracked me up. But back to Fa'alele, Garnet, I think he's like a plus run blocker right now, the way it looked in that game.
Yeah, man. So I think I'll say it like this, Jason. Just imagine going into the third quarter, you're already somewhat beat up, and then you got a 400+ pound man that can move, and he's coming downhill on you all day because we got a 10-point lead on you, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's a mental. It plays a mental game on you when you have to deal man, I got to deal with this big old mother sucker right here, man. This is a big dude. Like it plays a toll on you physically and mentally. Like there's nothing you can do about it, man.
Yes, fatigue makes cowards of us all. All the experience I have playing football and coaching to some, I've never had 400-pound one person, even two people probably blocking me. I was more of a secondary guy, so let's just call it how it is. But Ashley, who else? Do you have anybody else on your list that you'd like to talk about? Is somebody who was a pleasant surprise or you think played well?
Garnet's guy, Travis Jones. I was just looking at his tape today, and he looked like a professional. Like everything you said last week, he looked ready. I'm excited to see more of him. That's what I'm going to be looking at next week too, or this week.
Yeah, time flies. Time flies.
Yeah.
Garnet loves it when you give him props for his calls. And Garnet, go ahead, buddy.
All I gotta say, so there's a show that Jason did. He did a phenomenal series called The Barbecue, right? And he had multiple guests on it, and I was one of them. And I had a whole bunch of side dishes, and it just so happened the Raisin chose a lot of my side dishes. They chose my collard greens, they chose my cornbread, and they showed my baked potato, aka Linderbaum, right? Obviously, we ain't seen the baked potato yet, but he's gonna be showed it. We'll see. But anyway, to get back to the collard greens, aka Travis Jones, it's like I already know what to expect. So I'm like, okay, I'm glad that everybody sees it, but I just want to see it like versus the Jets. I just can't wait. I just can't wait. Christmas is literally week one for me.
Dude, I went back and watched our draft show this week. And I almost put a video montage out there on Twitter of all our reactions. Of course, I can't do it on YouTube because it's from Film Studies website that we were on. But, man, I in particular, Travis Jones was my second choice at 45. I wanted George Pickens. The whole panel wanted George Pickens there. So it's not just hindsight, Garnet, when we go back and we're like, yeah, we were fans of Pickens in the draft. But I was like, man, if Pickens goes, Travis Jones is another guy I really liked. I had him in the 20s on my board. So I feel that too, Garnet, where I'm just like, I've had nothing but positive thoughts about him, and to see it out on the field for week 1 of the preseason, even though it's only the preseason, to see him in purple and black out there showing out, it was wonderful. And Ashley, one of the things that I argued, or not argued, but made the case for before the draft is I think Travis Jones, I think I said it last week, he strikes me as a 5-sack guy, whether you play him at nose tackle, defensive tackle, whatever. And we got to see a little bit of that in his sack of Malik Willis, who, by the way, for those who don't know, can move as a quarterback. I mean, nobody's Lamar Jackson, but Malik Willis is up there with some of the more mobile quarterbacks in the league already as a rookie. And Travis Jones chasing him towards the sideline. Malik Willis stops, tried to change directions, and stopped, got those 34-plus inch arms around him, and brought him down. So, man, I just think it's great for the pass rush. It's one thing to push the pocket. It's another thing to be a sack guy. What do you think about that, Ashley? Like Travis Jones's potential as like finishing the play.
I think he's in really good company too. We already saw how great Oweh was last year, so him being in great company, being surrounded by guys like-minded, like-bodied, I think 5+ is definitely, that's like the bottom for him. The ceiling is. I would like to. I don't want to put too much pressure because I said the same thing about wide receivers last year, but close to the double digits. I just want to say 8, 9, somewhere around there.
Go ahead and do it. F it. Do it.
Between the both of them, definitely 10+.
Oh yeah. I think Oweh can handle that.
Both of them,
yeah. But I was going to say, Garnet, if you get, I don't know, let's just say 7 sacks as a defensive tackle, that's a huge number. That's akin to like twice as many from an edge rusher, because it's just hard getting double teamed and getting that pressure up the middle, and the quarterback sees you right away, yada, yada. You don't get no blindside hits, nothing like that. So if Travis Jones turns into that, like, give me a sack every other game type of guy, that's gold, Garnet. Like, he's going to be one of the best in the league if he keeps up a pace like that.
So back in 2018, Lamar's rookie year, when we played Kansas City, photographic memory, there's certain things, certain games or certain moments that I never let go of. It was the 4th and 19 or 4th and wherever, how long that was, where he completed that pass, where he rolled out to the right and bought a lot of freaking time, where Zadarius tried to trace him down and he just couldn't for some reason. I guess he might have been gassed out. And, CJ Mosley had to cover Tyreek Hill for like 10 seconds, which was crazy by itself. Now, let's think about this. Malik Willis, that same game, he clocked over 20 miles per hour at one point in time running. And we're talking about a 345-plus pound man hulking him down, like literally hulking him down, and made a sack. Now, think about the scenario where I just said about the whole, Patrick Mahomes running out the pocket compared to Malik Willis. That's a freak. In the words of Will Compton, stud. Like, literally, it's like I feel like we're 5+ sacks. That was what I was feeling at first, but I just think that I'm not going to get too involved in the defense. I know we're probably going to talk about a lot of times, especially down the road. But I feel that the interior defense is our bread and butter of our defense. I know a lot of people are going to say the secondary, but the heart and soul, is going to be relied on in the interior. Travis Jones play a vital part in that this year.
Very good. So I'm going to get to a couple of comments down here. Shout out Devin H. or Devon. I'm not sure how that goes. Let's go. This season is going to be epic. I hope so, man. I hope we're doing these shows all the way up into February. And by that time, I would be a basket case, warning you guys right away. When the games start getting big, I start getting nervous. And then from our buddy, Simply AS10, Mr. Alex, go subscribe to his channel. You probably already are. But yes, Simply, thank you for checking in. Appreciate you. I don't know if you're familiar with any of the guests we have on the show tonight, Alex, but they're pretty good people from what I know. Geno Stone, some love. Alex, I know you can't read this. Geno Stone's on that list, man. So let's go ahead and give him some love. Big game for Geno Stone. mentioned I thought Juwan James looked like he was varsity playing with the JV. I'd say the same thing about Geno Stone. I gave him his flowers last week talking about how impressive our safety group is, where we have 5 starting caliber safeties. And man, Geno Stone, I will say that he proved a lot of us right. Ashley, what are your thoughts on Mr. Stone? Did you like him coming out of college? Did he kind of grow on you like he grew on me? How do you feel about Geno?
I don't want to say I was indifferent, but I didn't have like a strong opinion. But I watched him play last preseason, so I was already a big fan. So anything that I saw last week, I didn't come as a surprise to me. I'm a big Geno fan.
Yeah, how I feel about Geno. So I had a nice conversation with a group of people last night, or maybe 2 nights before. It was about the mentality of the Ravens defense, of what they need to take on. And literally what Geno, that one play where he came roaring down like a madman and literally took out the legs of either, I think it was the running back, or it might have been the quarterback. I think it was the running back, where he came down and literally said, I'm going to make this play, and I don't care if it's that killer instinct that I guess people call it the mama mentality or whatever. But if every Raven on defense play with that mentality consistently, I don't see us like giving up 10 points or plus 10 is a problem. Because like it's one of the things where Geno has that perfect mentality to where I'm going to give it everything I got every play because I feel like I am better than you. And that's my biggest thing I love about Geno. Geno has, when people I hate the whole calling everybody a dog, but he is a legitimate alpha dog mentality, which all our guys could play with consistently. Geno's that guy.
Yeah, we should get a graphic with that popular thing that's going around social media too, where it's like the X-ray, and he says he's got that dog.
He got that dog in him.
Yeah, man, we need to get one of those with like Garnet's face on it, either at the top or like as the dog itself. Like that would be top tier entertainment. Hey, you're Travis Jones, man amongst boys. Don't drop your drink down there, Garnet, man.
Man, Jesus.
Talking about your son over there. And hey, Teddy Kalfas, what's up, Brother Jay? A lot of people. We're not going to talk about who Brother Jay may or may not be, but what's up, man? How you doing, Teddy? Teddy, actually, I know this about Teddy. Excellent pitcher in the slow pitch softball, which is like kind of an oxymoron because like they underhanded it to you. Teddy's got a knuckleball and would frustrate the heck out of people. So, got some old ball players out there. G, what do you think of that, man?
Hey, that's good, man. I might have to, go get my bat, man, and test it out.
Did you play any baseball, softball, anything like that?
Absolutely, yeah. So they have obviously they got a little intramural teams, especially on base or whatever. All you have to do is just sign up, and then usually it used to be every Thursday or whatever. Like every Thursday used to be like that. But I might sign up again, man, since I got nothing but free time on my hands since I'm retired. So
yeah. Garnett, he's got that dog in him. No pause, bro. No pause. So I had one other person that I wanted to bring up. And that was Tyree Phillips. I thought he looked good. I thought he was moving well. No mental mistakes. Tyree's got some pro in him, man. If he can just get everything straight. And he was at the podium today, as a matter of fact, talking about. And it was funny. I give a lot of credit to Tyree on this. They set him up with the excuse that we've made for him on this show about, if he could just play one position and concentrate on it, it would make things easier for him. And they asked him, hey, did playing all those positions mess with your development and all this? Tyree answered it like a pro. It was like, nah, man, that's on me. It don't make it harder and that kind of thing. So you love to see somebody that doesn't take the easy way out and the excuse, kind of see where the reporter is going with that. So I wanted to point out Tyree Phillips as a positive. I think the offensive line overall in that game was the biggest takeaway for me as one of the worries, like Ashley was saying earlier, there's always room for improvement. Offensive line play is never perfect. It only takes one person to mess up the play. But Ashley, I wanted to know, overall, I was encouraged with the offensive line play. Were you in the same boat with me?
Yeah, it definitely is an improvement from last year, and I didn't know about him answering it in that way, and that is a professional answer because maybe that's just me not having that dog in me, but I feel like I would lean in toward, oh yeah, it probably would be simpler if I could just focus on one thing and be good at that instead of being decent at a couple things here and there. And I like what Mark says down there about Tyree has that pro in him, but does he have that dog in him?
Something that I want to see from Tyree. I haven't seen a lot of it. I think a lot of that has to do with you have to know what you're doing first before you can really unleash. We saw that with Ben Cleveland last year, where he wasn't doing bad, but he was just feeling his way through it. And then in that Steelers game, he turned it loose. Something that I think with Geno Stone as well, Garnett. I mean, you looked at Geno Stone in college, he always took great angles. He was always in the right spot. And then, he would turn it loose every once in a while, like a Deshaun Elliott type play like we saw last week. We didn't see a lot of that from Geno over the last year or so when he was in the game. It was just playing it safe. And then, we saw the dog in Geno in the last game where I know where I'm doing. I know what I'm supposed to be there. Bam. By the way, Kyle Hamilton had one of those angles that he took and covered a ton of ground in that game too. So it was good to see Hamilton making some noise. So that's all I had on my list. Does anybody else have any positives from the game before we move on?
Mekhi Polk, he had a couple, as actually the leading receiver. He did, I had a nice little show out for what he did. I had to give him a shout out for that. I know Coach Evans might be watching, so hell stay, said to, give his old, Mississippi boy a holler out. But I'm trying to think who else I think did. Justice Hill. Did we even talk about him?
We did last week, but not so far tonight.
Well, I mean, got Dorn Justice Hill, man. Boy, I tell you what, that's gonna be one of those. I think we're like, I know we're gonna talk about your depth chart again, but not to try to do a nice little segue or whatever. But Justice Hill, I'm gonna be mad because I know it's gonna happen, in my opinion, that we're gonna cut him, but I know we're gonna probably bring him right back, which he deserves a role on this team because I just think that, I'm not a big fan of rushing JK back as much as I think he might be ready somewhat, but I don't want to rush it. But Justice Hill showed me what I've been seeing for over years and years, just the explosion, like literally what I said last time about the contact, like him having, him taking contact and going forward. It doesn't matter how you hit him. Some way he's going to spin off and get his yard. So, yeah, man, shout out to Justice, man.
Yeah, Mike Davis had a couple of nice runs too, and that crucial killer block where he decleated the defensive end. That was beautiful to see. Ashley, anything else stick out to you?
No, just as soon as you said Justice Hill, I was thinking Mike Davis, but I don't think anyone was surprised about his performance. Our run game is going to be very exciting to watch this year.
Can't wait. Even as vanilla as it is right now, and not a lot of tricks Greg Roman's showing. He's got a few in the run game. Pass game, maybe we'll hope so. But we go into some negatives. I only had two, so I don't know how much time if you want to comment on mine or have your own. But my first one was the tackling overall. There were 3 instances, arguably 5, but 3 major instances where bad tackling angles. Now, if you're talking about somebody gets run through contact and that kind of thing, to me that's a symptom of maybe rust. But tackle angles in live game action, that's something I never want to see. Like I can't just chalk that up to, well, they're not being physical. Nah, you still go live in periods and you're still taking angles at full speed, even though you're not knocking the snot out of each other. So I thought the tackling, and then I just want to bring up, because it backs up what we were talking about last week, Ben Powers, steady game, not moving anybody like we were talking about with Lele or Cleveland or Phillips was out there. And then he had 2 snaps, one in particular, where he just got broke off and blew up the whole play. So I didn't see much of a progression from Ben Powers personally. I mean, I know that the media and the coaches, of course, will always talk positive about their players. But tackling Ben Powers, those were 2 things I would like to see improvement in next week. Ashley, why don't you go ahead and kick us off on this?
I think last week we talked a little bit about Powers and how we were hoping that it was kind of just like bait for other teams to lean into. But I kind of think if they were watching, then they're not falling for it anymore. Because I completely agree with you on that. And it wasn't much of a surprise to me either. I didn't have high hopes for him. As negative as that may sound coming from me, I really didn't.
So Ashley, what about his snaps at center? He took, snaps at left guard and then snaps at center. Do you think that how much, or I would say it will help his stock? I mean, but how much does that help his stock when you're looking at other teams and even for the Ravens?
I think that if you just, like we were talking about, kind of like with Tyree, if you just have him in one spot specifically, maybe if you just have him taking snaps at center, then it'll be easier for them to just gauge where we're getting what kind of player are we getting, and it would be simpler for him instead of trying to show out in kind of, I don't want to say mediocre because they're professionals, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, I think if you just keep him at that one thing, one position, whatever it may be, then it'll be simpler for the teams who are looking into him.
Garnet, do you think left guard is Ben Powers' best position, or do you think he'd be better off as a right guard?
I'll say maybe a right guard for Ben Powers. I think so. It seems like I'll say definitely right guard for him. Ben Powers remind me of those old school 1999 commercials where they're trying to like sell a product of what we're trying to do with Ben Powers. Like, we got Ben Powers for 1995. You can have this, but wait, there's more. He can play center. Like, that's what we're doing. Like, it's like that's what we're doing with him, man. It's like the old school commercials where we just trying to broadcast and just advertise as much as we can with him. And I think we're hurting his stock more than anything trying to do that. Like, just let him play the guards position. Let it call it a day, man. We don't have to do all that.
So if you call within the next 5 minutes, Garnet, you get this. Remember those?
Yeah, exactly. You know what?
It's just 4 simple payments of $10.99.
Yes, that in Ravens terms, that's a 6th round pick and a conditional 7th the year before.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like all those analogies. Garnett, I think he's a left guard, and the reason is for right guards nowadays, pass protection is so crucial to match up with those 3 techniques and get in those one-on-one situations. Ben Powers' pass protection, not exactly his strength. He's more of a good run blocker, a positional blocker. So I do think left guard, if Ashley's saying one position for him to focus on, it would be left guard. If he can play center, in my opinion, I think that would be a bonus because, centers always have help. They can have help at any time from either guard spot, depending on where the defense is lined up. So, maybe he would make a good center. But overall, there's a lot of competition. And Ben Powers, man, the coaches think more of him than we do on the show. Yuri, this was a good one in the positive in the winter. You should have sent this to me earlier, Marshall. Anthony Brown, he pretty much won a role because the Ravens cut Brent. Notice I said Brent Hundley. Brett, I believe his name is Hundley, was cut. They kept Anthony Brown as the QB3. So Anthony Brown's showing as a passer in that game cemented his role on this team as the guy who's next in line behind Lamar and Tyler Huntley. So, yeah, good call there, Yuri. Anthony Brown back up on the list. So I think we did a pretty good job covering the preseason game 1. I want to go to some injury reports, and you guys can chime in after it, but I want to just one at a time it. Great news this week. Marcus Peters, Ardarius Washington, and Brandon Stevens, all defensive backs, all back at practice this week. So it's great when you get positive injury news. Secondary got healthier, Garnett.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. My favorite player on the Ravens, a lot of people didn't know, is Marcus Peters. Like, that's my favorite Raven on the team. So just to see him back, man, knowing that basically the juice, well, they call him juice, MP juice, man, but like literally the juice is back on the team. I feel like as much as we we love, a lot of people love Lamar, and Lamar's the guy on the team, but like not having Marcus Peters, it really played a critical role not having him, because the energy, he brings a whole different vibe to the atmosphere of the stadium, game, just being around him, right? So, yeah, I'm happy about that tremendously.
Yeah, he plays a pretty big leadership role on that defense, and you could see where it was lacking when he wasn't there last year. So I think his return, you'll see it in all of the players around him.
I agree, man. I'll give you some specific examples of how it affects the players around them. Not even talking about the emotional lift, but just the X's and O's. When Marcus Peters is on the left side of your defense, he can work a lot of times in combination routes. In other words, he's working with the cornerback next to him a ton, or it might be a safety lined up next to him covering the tight end a ton. And so that's a force multiplier. When you look in his direction, he's really just helping the entire coverage on that side. And then also the Marlon Humphrey factor. If Jamar Chase or whoever else in the division lines up on their right, our defense is left, you don't have to move Marlon over there. We got Marcus Peters over there. So it allows Marlon to be more of Marlon. It allows others around him. And then just from a confidence standpoint, a swag standpoint, Marcus Peters has the kind of skills, and he still leads the league in interceptions since he's come into the league, and he missed all of last year. He's still the clear leader. Don't think the quarterbacks don't realize that. Don't think the quarterbacks aren't conscious at them. Don't think that offensive coordinators may shy away from certain plays if they don't have the quarterback or maybe another wide receiver that they can run plays on. So he's going to shrink the playbook of the opposition. He's going to make quarterbacks think twice. Garnet, you always mention that Black Air Force One energy that Marcus Peters. Did I do good there, buddy? Did I do good?
Absolutely. There you go, my guy. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, so moving on. One injury from the game, Tylan Wallace, out 1 to 2 weeks. We mentioned earlier. He got tackled and planted. Looked like his left foot, if I'm remembering right. 1 to 2 week injury. Concern level here for Tylan Wallace. I mean, I am a little concerned, not necessarily about the Ravens receiving corps, but as it affects Tylan himself, because I texted, or not texted, I messaged Jeff Zrebeck, who's the absolute best out there covering the Ravens, and asked him if Tylan was, in fact, having a quiet camp. And when I was at the stadium practice, I told you guys I saw him working as a backup slot and on the third team as an outside receiver. So he was getting buried there, bro. Like Benjamin Victor and other guys were working ahead of him. And I'm like, man, so much for the breakout season from Tylan Wallace. So I'm concerned about Tylan just from missing any kind of time where he could be making a statement here coming up this week. And instead, he's going to be on the sidelines. Garnet, start us off, man.
Yeah, so with Tylan, man, I was hoping him to be the guy to break out and all these things. Just a lot of people know that follow me on Twitter or I talk with. I'm not really super sold on the receiving core as of yet. I'm more of a proven guy, whatever. But I thought he could be somebody that can flourish in this type of situation. But yeah, it's pretty having a below average camp and obviously getting hurt. And then, think about this, if he didn't get hurt, that moment that Shamar Bridges or Mekhi Pope had, it could have been his moment. So it's all about timing and whatever, those situations at hand. And, Ravens are not known for cutting, players, guys that they drafted. So I'm really curious about, how they're going to work that piece. I'm not saying that he's going to get cut, but at the same time, I'm not, how severe is this injury? Wink, wink. But at the same time, we only got 4 or 5 receivers on the contract. So this is actually a nice, I don't know, moment.
Yeah, Ashley, help us out here.
So Jamison Hensley a few days ago tweeted out, our 4 wide receivers have all had injuries this summer. Rashad Bateman missing 2 practices, Devin Duvernay being sidelined, Prochet sidelined, and then the Tylan Wallace injury. And I saw that Warren Sharp had replied and said, the least expensive wide receiver core in the NFL is also one of the most injured in the preseason. But trust they will blame Lamar when he's not throwing for 404 each week. Seriously, though, pretend these 4 wide receivers were 100% healthy. This is a starting wide receiver core. And I just think that I'm not completely sold because I do still think that we have room to bring in a vet and it would benefit them. But I do think like Makai Polk and Shamar Bridges, we're not, we still have a couple guys that are fully capable of stepping up for Thailand, especially like Jason mentioned that he'd had a quiet practice anyways.
Yeah. We got to find a way to get Isaiah Likely on the field more during the regular season. That is, because if you take him and Andrews with Bateman and then pick a player, Bridges, Prochet, whoever, that to me has the potential to be a above average receiving core because I believe that much in Bateman. Obviously, Andrews is himself, and then you could have a bigger or smaller receiver to go with Isaiah Likely. That'd be tough to match up with, but I'll still toot the horn for the veteran receiver train because I just want some more options in there. I mean, Warren Sharp's tweet, man. I mean, I echo it. It's not just a receiver injuries. You were talking about the top four all injured going into camp. It was Bateman, Prochet, Wallace, and Duvernay have all missed time. By the way, James Prochet, I was going to mention that in this segment. He's still out, hasn't practiced yet. And we had a couple of banged up. Lele left Tuesday's practice. Didn't look too bad, didn't sound too bad. Marlon, of course, is all in the trainer's room getting in people's faces. Didn't see much concern on Mr. Lele's face. He should be fine. Jalen Armour Davis left practice today. Coach Harbaugh, I believe it was, said he banged his head. So hopefully, any kind of concussion symptoms that he may have can clear up and Jalen Armour Davis can continue his trajectory. But I'm a little bummed at that, Garnet, because I would have loved to seen Lele and Jalen Armour Davis on the field. Also, the last thing I wanted to mention is your buddy, Tyler Linderbaum, expected to be back at practice Friday. So, Garnet, let me just ask you straight up. Do you expect Tyler Linderbaum to play Sunday if he's just getting back to practice on Friday, or is that stretching it?
Absolutely not. He would not be on the field. If anything has changed from the times I used to play high school and collegiate football, like if you have not dressed out Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, or and during that time, it don't matter if you practice Thursday and you did a walkthrough Friday, you're not touching the field. And then obviously it's not because it's injury. It's just one of the things where okay, you're a prime athlete, I get it, but also just the past of all the injuries that we had, we're playing as safe as possible this year. I really don't see us trying to what do we we have a lot to gain for him being on the field to get his reps or whatever, but we have a lot to lose if he's not really actually functional. What I mean by that.
I do, Garnet. So what about third preseason game? I'm going to pull up Mark's comment too. Apparently Harbaugh said Linderbaum probably won't play Sunday in the presser. Thanks, Mark. I must have missed that when I was watching it. But all right, say Linderbaum does not play this Sunday. I want to get both of your thoughts on this. Starting with you, Garnet, since you were just talking. How much action, if any, would you like to see Linderbaum get in preseason game 3?
2 series. Just in the thing of just two good series. That's all I want to see. I think two good series will be enough for guys like you and anybody else that can really break down the game to a good point. I think you can see a lot in that, especially in depending on how far those series go. If we get in the red zone, see how you handle or those long third downs, you'll be able to see a lot of what you can do. And if we play against we're playing against the Washington Commanders, they got nothing but studs on that defensive line. So you're gonna see everything that you're gonna need to see, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree. 2 or 3 would probably be the most I would want to see. There's nothing really to gain from it. I mean, there is something to gain from it, but there's too much risk in opposition to 2 gains. So I just feel like we know pretty much what we're expecting to see. And if he does what we were expecting him to see, then that should be fine. That should be more than enough.
I agree. I want to see him play. I definitely do, just because he's a rookie. And I think, even with Travis Jones, it was important for Travis Jones to get out there and perform like he did. That's going to help him come week 1 of the regular season when the game counts. And I think the same can go for Tyler Linderbaum. Get his snaps with Lamar down. We saw some under center snaps. We saw some pistol snaps. We saw some shotgun snaps, all different types of snaps. So that's the three positions the quarterback's going to line up in: shotgun, under center, and the pistol. So yeah, you said 2 series. I wouldn't even put a number of series on it. I would put a number of snaps. I'd like to see him play maybe a little more than you guys. I'd say 15 to 20 snaps. Maybe get him a quarter's worth, depending on the drive. We have like a 10 to 12 play drive and he's making all the blocks he needs to. All right, that's fine, depending on the game. But I want to see him get his feet wet, do some things successfully, get him out on a pull or two, get him working with Kevin Zeitler if Kevin Zeitler plays, or more importantly, like a Tyree Phillips or a Ben Cleveland. Get him on this combo block, see him climb to the second level. Just let him get a little bit speed to the game adjustment. What about the only other thing I wanted to mention on the injury front was Stanley, Bowser, Gus still out, and Gus is like a kind of ask me later. But it would be a great sign for me. Ashley, I'm just going to kick it to you first. I would like to see Stanley and Bowser start practicing next week. Garnet, do you have something? I'm sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
I don't know if I said the last show, but hey, I did say the last show. Street close Stanley until we see him on the field, brother.
All right. So Garnett slid a little shot in there, Ashley. But yeah, could you please comment on? I'm looking to see Stanley and Bowser, man, like Monday. I would love to see.
100%. I would like to see them practicing. I want to see them in at least the last preseason game or week 1. And I understand that Gus. I feel like we're pretty covered in the running back room. That we'll be fine if Gus needs as long as he needs to take, because JK seems to be coming back. I like what I saw of Justice Hill and Mike Davis, and pretty much all the guys are set. Gus can take all the time he needs because he's worth that. But I feel like we've been lacking too long to not see Stanley coming back, especially.
Yeah, and it would be nice if we heard Dalen Hayes lighting it up at camp. We haven't. It looks like Adafio Way will play some Sam linebacker because Steven Means has come on, and he's strictly a rush linebacker. And then you have Justin Houston, strictly a rush. Well, not Justin can do it all, but at his age, you want him rushing the passer. So let's try it, fellas. Let's bring up the depth chart. We have the offense first. I brought it up as clearly as I could, so hopefully you guys out there can see it. But this is where I was talking about with Charlie Kolar, which bugs me. The fact that Charlie Kolar practiced means he has to be on that initial 53 before you put him on IR. So if you count the purple in there, that's who I think are definitely in. That's 22. The probably in. I mean, you could argue with me and slide them in purple if you want. Justice Hill, Shamar Bridges, that's 24. That would leave one other roster spot for all those guys in the yellow. Ashley, what do you think of my list here? Looking over it, what sticks out to you? Go ahead and kick us off.
So you said, what did you say, yellow? You said one spot left?
Yeah, if you look at the bottom, it says, I have 22 guys in the purple. We're going to carry 25 on offense. We usually do 25 and 25. And then if you agree with me that Justice Hill and Bridges, they're in the green, are probably in, that's leaving one spot for, you can carry a 6th wide receiver or an extra tight end, or, I got Ben Powers on the bubble just because I'm not sold that what the Ravens are doing is more than just like a showcase. So a lot of different things you can steer us in there, Ashley.
I feel like for sure, knowing our offense and the Ravens, I feel like we're going to explore that extra tight end fullback position. Probably add in. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with, is probably Oliver, Mason.
Garnett, man, go ahead and just pick us all up, man. We'll keep the conversation.
Yeah, so the chart, my own personal chart that I have. So with Hill, so the green. So when you mean by probably in, they make the roster, or is it one of those shake hands deals and they probably in?
No, I think I'm just talking about making the roster, being on the team.
Yeah, you are right on. Hey, I'm right there with you in certain aspects because this is an interesting year due to a lot of players coming back from injuries and also just being just a lack of depth of receiver. So Yeah, Hill, I'm right there with you. I really think Bridges is going to be that fifth receiver, hands down. Caller. Yeah, obviously we're not going to cut a guy that we just signed for PUP. He's going to be that guy, especially we know how that works with the whole growing issue. You phenomenally killed it with the whole powers thing, and then Tristan Cologne. If we'll see how the whole Linderbaum thing goes out, but I think he'd be the most solid candidate for the backup at center. I'm going to straight up. I don't want Macari needs to be respected as a tackle he is, and as the right tackle or whatever. But I'd rather have Cologne at center and not Macari, just for backup purposes. If he's going to be the soup, Macari's going to be the super glue guy. Let him be the tackle or the guard, but not the center, in my opinion.
Love this comment from Sean. I think Wallace is going on IR. Sean, I think that's a definite possibility. If he's not showing out in camp and there's other guys that they want to give a chance to, maybe the Ravens do sign of that receiver that is going to demand some playing time early in the season. We had Ashley back on the screen there. There you are, Ashley. But yeah, Wallace going on IR is definitely a possibility. And yeah, just to clarify again, Garnet, I mean, like I said, Kolar is going to have to go on that initial 53-man roster. So this is what I think the offense will look like week one. This is not counting the roster games that the Ravens will play on offense there. But I mean, I'm looking at the depth chart overall, and I would say that it looks pretty good. I mean, I do think that the offensive line looks beefed up when you look at it like this, and especially with the game file Lele had, and what you get with McCary. Ben Cleveland had some positive reps, and Juwan James, one of my stars of the game, I thought, when the Ravens played Thursday night. Running back, Ashley's firm on this. She thinks that they will be fine. And then Bridges emerging. I mean, he's really got a chance to cement himself in that purple as in. And, when I'm looking to guys is this last two preseason games, we really don't need to see much from Bateman. Wallace is going to be out. Crochet's been hurt. Duvernay's getting back in. Dude, there is going to be so many opportunities for Bridges, Hulk, Slade Bolden, Benjamin Victor, Jalen Moore, even Brawley Webb. And then we keep seeing Bailey Gaither show up at practice with long catches. And we saw him at the stadium practice on Kyle Hamilton, gave Hamilton a hard time. Actually, those young receivers are going to have every chance in the world to show out.
100%. And I was really looking for Bolden was scratched from the first game, correct? He had some kind of injury, but he should be him, Makai Polk, and Raleigh Webb actually surprised me in the game too. He made some I really don't think he's going to make the roster, but he still surprised me. It's good to know that they're there. They're there if we need them.
Yeah. Big special teams. I was just going to say, Garnet, big special teams play from Raleigh Webb is what stuck out to me.
I think Sean, he's on the same track that I see. I'm not saying he's going to be nothing special, nothing like that, but I'm very curious. The guy that I want to see versus Arizona, if he's able, I want to see this Gaither guy because all I've been hearing is he's like a speed demon, like legitimate, like a 100-meter yard, like 10, I think it's sub 10 100-meter yard runner, which is insane.
Blazer.
So, and the thing about it, I'm not trying to. He's white, which is amazing. So it's like one of those things where that is abnormal, right? So I want to see him in a game, man. Like if he's catching 70-yard bums at practice.
What are you saying, Garnet? You don't think I can run a 10-something 100-meter dash?
Absolutely not, my friend.
You would be correct, sir. I don't think you can either, though. So
absolutely, I can't either, man. I'm done.
Yeah, you can't either. You can probably jump higher than me. Let's be real about it. But right. I'm crafty, smart, have a high motor. I make my free throws. All that good stuff, Garnet.
Bro, that's all you need to do, my guy. But yeah, but just I'm really interested in this Gaither guy. I'm not saying that he's gonna, well, I don't know, but at the same time, I think he might be a nice little shake hand comeback. Just depending on what happens with receiving core, man. Like how Ashley stated earlier about the injuries, about how all four of these guys have been hurt or still is hurt when it comes to Prochet and coming in with Wallace, right? So it's open, man. So if this guy can bring some juice like that, who are we to say no?
So, is there any way, Ashley, that Nate McCrary has a chance to unseat Justice Hill or probably not Mike Davis? I really don't see it. I think Mike Davis was brought here for a reason, to be that pass protector and get to some tough yards until Gus is ready. But does Nate McCrary have a chance to unseat Justice Hill? My reason for no way is that Justice Hill looks good, and Justice Hill is a gunner on special teams. My maybe is that maybe there's a chance, or you saying there's a chance, is that we have more team control over Nate McCrary, whereas Justice Hill is heading into his last year rookie deal.
I feel like what you just said about Justice Hill being that gunner on special teams, we know how much Harbaugh loves his special teams, so I don't think there's any way.
Garnet, pick at this list, man. Is there anything that you would change? You said on my list, blah blah blah. Like, who would you have in the purple? How would you change this up? Is there anything different, or I pretty much got a good handle on it here?
Yeah, you have a really, really good handle on it, man. There's nothing really I would change because you're in the same boat when it comes to all the categories. There's really nothing different. The only one will probably be, what's his name right there? Yeah. Well, you got him there because like how you did it, your color coding is a little bit different from mine, so that's what made me a little finicky in my head. But it's literally the same, man. Like we all feel the same about Bridges. We all feel about Hill. No, that's the only difference with Hill. Since you did the whole probably in, my whole probably in difference is like him not making it on the 53, but he'll be brought back. That's my only.
Gotcha. What do you think about Bridges? I mean, barring some kind of major regression? I want to ask both of you. Ashley, is Bridges a lock at this point, unless something crazy happens?
I just want to see one more week of what we saw last week, and then I would say so, because I don't think any of the other receivers were even coming close to those kinds of plays, catches, anything like that. But just to be fair, I'll say just one more week of what we already saw, and I think he's pretty much locked in.
Garnet, Benjamin Victor, by the way, at that stadium practice was working. As I hit the play button here again, Benjamin Victor was working as the second team outside receiver. He was in a lot. I'm a little underwhelmed with what Victor's been giving us this preseason, just from the various reports that we got. He's a guy that if before this before the training camp, I would have said, you know what, Benjamin Victor's got a real shot. They kept him around for a reason. But yeah, Benjamin Victor.
Yeah, it's like I got mixed reviews about him. I never really got super hyped about him, but at the same time, he never really done nothing to disappoint me. Like when he's in, catches everything, does what he needs to do. Might not get crazy separation, but he has a nice catch radius. Yeah, man. I'm really, maybe hopefully he'll have a better game this, against the Cardinals. Hopefully he'll, produce something. But when it comes to Bridges, man, if Bridges, you're old school like me. You remember when Vince Carter had that dunk contest and he just went crazy? And literally we all knew he won the dunk contest, so there's nothing really else to do, but he kept on performing. Bridges is in that same category where if he goes out there and sticks his arm in the rim, it's over. There's nothing else he has to do.
I like that analogy, Garnet. Good one. I'm going to pull that down and try to bring the defense up here soon. Had a little problems with it earlier, so hopefully it cooperates with us. Well, I saved this topic as a bridge here. So Hollywood Brown, let's talk about his comments today. I think a lot of people wanted to talk about this. and I'll bring up Sean before we get into it one more time. There you go, Sean. I think Victor and Moore had their chance. Time for some new blood. Yeah, Jalen Moore, too. He's had his chances. He's made some good play. If you want to check out my highlights from stadium practice, Jalen Moore made a phenomenal catch in the end zone. It was one of the plays of the night. But yeah, I mean, both of those guys, to your point, Sean, they've had run for, over a year now, going on 2 years. And yeah, it might be the fact that Bridges now has taken their spot. Back to Hollywood Brown. I want to read some quotes for you that he had to say. Of course, Hollywood's getting asked about his old team, the Baltimore Ravens, coming to town. 2 quotes. This is direct quotes that got me. I felt like they really didn't need me, is one thing that Hollywood said. He also said, I want to be involved. So I'm going to let you guys go back and forth by yourselves here as I try to work out the defense, getting that on the screen. Just wanted to phrase it to you this way. 147 targets for Hollywood last year, was 10th in the league. Just to give you an idea, Mark Andrews was 9th in the league. So he was right behind Andrews in the NFL leaders in targets with, again, 147. I felt like they really didn't need me, and I want to be involved. Garnet, go ahead. Oh, by the way, to say, hey, what's up, Don C? What's up, Don C? About ready to talk to Hollywood, brother, but I hope you get to rewind and catch up on the show later. Good to see you, Don.
All right, so this is where I think this show is about to have a really great part of the show, because this is where a lot of parts are about to be out in the open. This is the unfiltered conversation where I think a lot of people are ready to have. So with the whole Hollywood situation, I'm completely fine with what he said, because he said a lot more. And he gave the Ravens credit. He gave the Ravens praises, but he kept it real. He said everything that we said on a consistent level, and that's why I can't get mad at him. There's no way I can get mad at Hollywood whatsoever. And the main thing about the whole thing is, yes, he had over 146 targets, but the targets that he received were not even used. We wasn't using Hollywood correctly. We were just throwing him the ball and just hoping that something would work. And that I get it. Number one receivers just make number one things happen, right? But also, the number one, if you have a number one receiver, you put him in spots where he can be successful, and we don't do that. What do you think, Ashley?
I completely agree. And even then, I saw some discourse about it, about even if, he was considered, like you said, about the number one guy, he wasn't. When you have Andrews was the number one receiver last year, regardless. And then we got Bateman. So I completely understand where he was like, I wasn't being used and I felt like I wasn't needed there. He went about it a lot better than I thought, a lot better than he could have went about it. So not really mad about it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And the thing about the people I thought that were going to be very critical about what he said were actually in his corner, and actually that's what really okay, so here we go. So that's why I say, and like I say, he gave the Ravens credit. He even also said on the back end of his comments, like, the Ravens are going to win regardless, even if I'm not there, because he knows how we're built. But I understand the movement of his career. He's in the perfect situation. Old player, old coach with a quarterback, just the whole Oklahoma vibes, really. And the fact that when DeAndre Hopkins get back after his suspension, he's basically playing the CD Lamb role, which is better than CD Lamb, I believe. I think all of us can say Hopkins is better than CD Lamb for now, right? So yeah, he's living his best life right now in Arizona. So, but for us, for the comments, I'm not going to go overboard over it.
Okay.
I like what Sean said down there about we wasn't going to pay him anyways, which is 100% true. And you can't be mad at a player for wanting to get paid. So,
no, I can't be mad at a player for wanting to get played. Yuri also has a comment here. Okay, it all fits on there. Fans went off the rails, got their feelings in a bunch. He wanted more targets, using him in space. I think that's what Yuri meant, using him in space. And he only had 6 touchdowns last year. Well, Yuri, I mean, he led the NFC or AFC North in touchdowns. Lamar made him a touchdown, the leader in touchdowns, because Lamar makes anybody a red zone threat with his legs being able to extend plays. So I'm the dissenter, bro. We're gonna keep it real here. I don't have any problem with what Hollywood said. Like Marshall so eloquently put it down there, my panties aren't in a bunch about what he said. Like, it's fine, bro. It's fine. Like, yeah, I thought it was a professional answer. I just think I don't buy it. I think Hollywood is a little bit like delusional's too strong of a term, man. But I don't think that he understands what his role, how much that he contributed to the team when he said, I felt like they really didn't need me. Like, whether you're a number one or a number two, 147 targets is a ton of targets. And when you're going to go in a spread offense with, DeAndre Hopkins, like you said, Garnet, there's really not much difference. And where I disagree with you, Garnet, is you're saying, we gave him all those, the bubble screens and all that crap we saw him have to run last year. Well, that was when Tyler Huntley was in the game. When Lamar was in the game, you saw Hollywood Brown downfield getting bombs away targets in space, just like he was wanting to do in Arizona. So I think the only routes he didn't run here, quite frankly, were because of his body size. Like, he wasn't going to run a quick slant over the middle because he was going to get blown up by a linebacker or that kind of thing. But he ran every route in the route tree, deep routes, yep, dig routes, yep, out routes, yep. And then, of course, when Huntley came in and couldn't push the ball downfield as effectively as Lamar, it was like we tried to force feed him with these bubble screens to keep him happy. So, go ahead and let me have it, guys. But if he wants to get paid, he could have had a year here with Lamar. He was on pace for like career highs last year before Lamar got hurt, and he would have got paid just the same.
Yeah. So, like I said, you say you disagree, but I was right there with you. Like, the whole when Huntley came in, obviously we changed the whole, scheme to, in order to fit Huntley and make him feel comfortable, get the ball out quick and all these things or whatever. So make the life easier for him. But at the same time, Hollywood literally sacrificed. Like, I get it, but you can still be creative to a point where you can put players in better positions to be successful. I think that's what Hollywood was talking about. Hollywood has been. This is why I have so much respect for Hollywood, even though he might have had. It's crazy. Every time that he spoke up, he had like a weird bad game after. But I love that he spoke up though. Like, he kept it real and said, "Hey, the whole what's the point of having soldiers when you don't want to use them, whatever, right?" And then he tried to keep it very tactful in the press conference where he's talking about, "Hey, I just want to see. I want more balance in this offense, like for all of it." He wasn't even like when we saw about the soldiers part and then the whole balance part. Not one time he was talking about himself individually. He was talking about as a whole for the receivers. Even in the press conference that he had today, he was talking about how we have dogs and receivers. So he's never been a me guy. So that's one thing I just want to clear up. Now I think all of us will agree on that. He's always a team guy. And it's just that the whole issue that I had with us is the fact that he had a really I don't know. I'm not gonna try my best not to reference PFF, but from what I remember, every time he was in a slot, he was cooking. Like cooking. So when that touchdown that he had against the Broncos last year, where was he? In the slot. So it's one of things. It's like one of the things where we see great things happen all the time with him, and that's where I come from. Where it's like, hey, that's why I say I agree with you. I'm right with you. I'm pretty sure you're gonna have an outstanding career in Arizona. Well, outstanding season in Arizona because you're gonna be used to your full potential and be unlocked.
Okay. So, Ashley, can I bring up one more point and kick to you on this one? I think it's just important to address the elephant in the room. His targets were there. His use downfield was there. Finding space was there. What was the problem? What is he trying to say in a nice way without saying it? Is I don't like Greg Roman's offense, bro. There's some weeks where we go in and our first 8 of our first 10 plays are runs. Like, I ain't down with that, bro. Give me the ball. So I don't have no problem with Lamar. I love the city of Baltimore. Like all other receivers, though, I don't want to play in the Ravens offense as a wide receiver. It might be friendly for tight ends, might be great for offensive linemen, might be great for any kind of defenders. It is, but the one position you don't want to play for if you're is wide receiver if you're going to the Ravens. Ashley, did I nail that? Is that pretty much what's going on here?
You did, and he's not the type that's going to be out there blocking all the time. He doesn't want to do that. And I think Sean said it really well. He said, I think Lamar forced the ball to him too many times last year to keep him happy. And
Yep.
I got that feeling before, he was traded, all of that. I got that, before Lamar got hurt. I was like, some of these plays, there were other people, there were other options. There was no excuse for some of the drops that we experienced too with it. So, because that was on him, it wasn't anybody else's fault.
So with that, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. So think about this, the Ravens knew that Marquise was unhappy for 2 years, basically, and he asked for the trade at the beginning of the year. Your best friend is the quarterback, knowing the whole situation. Well, I'm thinking in my head, if I was the quarterback, I'm gonna try my best to change your mind.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think what Yuri said earlier about, fans going off the rails, Hollywood was one of those players that fans were a little irrational about, because they just had that love, chemistry, everything with him. So I feel like a lot of them can't necessarily look at it from a nuanced perspective, or yeah, just from a nuanced perspective, they can't really handle the situation like that.
Yeah, fans get emotional one way or the other. And then you have the very pro player fans, and you have the very pro front office Ravens fans. It's just like politics or anything else in life. It's your viewpoint on things. And as usual, I'm like right down the middle. I see both sides. I don't have any kind of emotional attachment, scars, whatever. I want to see the players succeed. If I want to call out DaCosta on his drafts, I will. I don't think he's had the best drafts. I think he's been great with his free agency and signings. I think Lamar is a great quarterback. I don't. If I didn't think so, I wouldn't just say it to get views. Like Lamar is very good. I think if there was things he had to work on was just arm strength, arm speed, his fundamentals from the waist down, driving legs. We've seen all that. I'm going to keep it 100, and I would say that I think Hollywood was used pretty darn good here. I think Sean made a great point that they were force feeding him. And that was when Tyler Huntley came into the game. I really believe that was when it became really, really obvious. It's not that Lamar, of course he wants to get Hollywood involved, but there were games where Hollywood wasn't as involved when Lamar was the quarterback. But with Huntley, it's like, all right, well, we know Huntley's not real good with this timing throw, a dig right on time. His pocket presence is iffy. The offensive line isn't good. Well, we still need to get Hollywood as targets before he, blows up, whatever. So we'll just throw him some bubble screens, which really isn't his thing. In fact, it's the opposite way of what you want to use Hollywood Brown, especially when you got guys like Duvernay who can truck somebody or some other guys that can make you miss. So yeah, complex situation. I wish Hollywood the best. I don't have any hard feelings. I think he's going to have a very good year in Arizona, but I do think that part of what he's saying is misguided. I think he could have just as good a year here in Baltimore as he could in Arizona. Maybe Mr. Bateman and his talents. Maybe it's not just Andrews. Maybe he's looking at it be like, man, this guy Bateman's pretty good. Arizona's not going to have DeAndre Hopkins for 6 games, and then they really don't have much else. I'll definitely be a number 2 there in Arizona. I want to bring up a couple of comments here too, man. Yeah, Mr. Alex, trying to start some stuff there, man. George Malik Pickens, yeah, definitely. Everybody likes Pickens. Sean, by the way, thanks for all your contributions to the show.
I don't even see that name because I'm going to get mad. So.
You're going to get mad.
Yeah.
Yuri, he's called the Romanators, great Roman defenders. But yeah, man. Hey, all we can hope for with Pickens, I loved him, I wanted him. But now it's spilt milk, bro. Like, there's no reason crying over it. He hasn't even played a game yet. Maybe he does a reverse Jamar Chase and just like after a great preseason disappears. I don't think that's happening though. I think Pickens is going to be a force in this league, bro. But let's not overreact. Remember Jamar Chase last year? He was dropping everything and all that other stuff. Garnet, what do you? I see you over there.
Yeah, no, the biggest problem is like how we said we just gave the timeline of the whole Hollywood thing, where it's like the 2 years we knew. Well, internally we knew he was getting traded, and we allowed ourselves to just not do nothing, not even pick up DJ Chark. You know how we were, Jason. We were there on live. At Ken's film. The whole live draft. We were broken. We were broken men that night. We were. So that's the problem. It's like we knew the situation at hand before, and we allowed ourselves to just, let's go get a. I'm not no disrespect to Ojabo. I think, hopefully Ojabo beats everything right, but we're sold on Pickens. We know we have a strong idea of what Pickens is going to be. Hell, his mentality would have. Oh my God, it would have do wonders for us. The whole mentality what he has. He's a Raven, but he's a Steeler.
He got that dog in him.
Yeah, but it's okay. We got Marcus Peters. We'll lock him up, I hope. Yeah.
Garnet, can I get a bark?
Go too loud. Oh, okay, I'm done.
Nice. That was a warning bark. Yeah, just a warning bark.
Now I brought my dog in here now, so we're good.
All right, nice. Yeah, don't wake my little sweetheart up. She's sleeping. She's sad because wife and kids are out, so she's stuck with me. But yeah, Lamar vouched for him. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, simply, no doubt. But yeah, when you trade away Hollywood Brown, I thought it was a great move to be able to get a first-round pick back for a guy that was going to walk, like Sean said anyway. That was a steal. You got a player on 1 year of a deal, but you didn't replace him. Same thing with what we saw with Judon. We didn't necessarily replace him long-term and that kind of thing. You want your pass rushers. We're going to need to be a wide receiver factory too. As long as the offense is the way it is, we're either going to have to do a massive overpay for a receiver, or you're just going to have to keep spending early picks and say, look, any kind of tight end in their right mind wants to come here. Any kind of offensive lineman in his right mind wants to come here. Any defensive player wants to come here. Look, we're just going to have to use our resources on wide receivers in the draft and trust Coach T and Coach Keith Williams to develop them. Any final thoughts? Because I want to get to this defensive depth chart.
I think all of his comments were respectable, and I wish him the best. I have no ill will toward him. I think he's going to do great.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I feel like it was well thought out, very well articulated where everything he said, to a point where literally he kept it honest from day one since he been here, and he said it smoothly on his accent.
Yeah, I mean, just compare it to a relationship. Look, I'm just not happy. I want to move on. No hard feelings. Thanks for everything you did for me. It's different than, you know what I mean, taking the low road. Like, he kept it respectful. We're just not for him, even with Lamar on the team. So there we go. Sean has a question before we get to our defensive side. What do you guys think about a trade for Josh Oliver for Mims? Sean, I'll be honest with you, man. I think you dream him on that one. Oliver would be a guy that is not very coveted. I think that the Jets can get more for Mims than Josh Oliver. You throw in a draft pick, maybe they want a safety, maybe they want something else. But yeah, I think the Denzel Mims, though, is a guy that I really liked, and he's buried there in New York now. I'm Garrett Wilson and the other receivers. I'm blanking on what's the guy's name?
Elijah Moore. Yep.
Elijah Moore. So there's three guys ahead of Denzel Mims. I really liked coming out of the draft. That would be a good guy to take a shot on.
Absolutely.
Come on, baby. Come on up. See, this is the problem I was having earlier. Didn't want to come up.
I see the players right there, man. We're good. I'm just playing. I know in my heart.
Garnet, don't say that, man.
You gotta keep put a smile on your face, big dog.
It's making me upset, man. I put all this effort into it. Look, I got the Ashley, why don't you give us a plug away? Like I got in trouble last like smash the like button. Like, isn't there stuff I'm supposed to be saying in here?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just remember to subscribe, turn on post notifications so you never miss a live stream. We go live 8:30 every Wednesday.
Yeah, man. So yeah, like how my sis said it, subscribe, like, you got the Venmo in the bottom right corner, you got the Cash App in the left corner. The biggest thing I'd just say, hey, just follow us, follow Jason on his channel. Hey, communicate with us if you got something that you want us to just discuss about. Hit us up. Either in the DMs or publicly. Give us ideas, man. Because we're doing this show for all you guys. At the end of the day, we're just having fun broadcasting it.
Well said. Well said. And there you go. Brain over brawn got to what we finally got to at the end. It was an indictment of Roman's offense. He wanted out. The team did right by him. Fans said so long. Bye, dude. There you go. I mean, that's pretty much what happened. But I feel like it was worth talking about because it certainly sent Ravens fans a buzz. So, Ashley, defensive depth chart. What you looking at? What kind of notes you got over there, Ashley?
Let me pull it up on my screen so that I can see.
All right. So I finally get it on the screen. Now Ashley's making us wait.
Well, I can't see it on mine, so.
Yeah, I can't see it on my screen.
You can't? You guys can't see that?
Absolutely. I see Huddle It Up Films.
Yep.
Okay.
I said no age.
Hey, can somebody in the comments let me know if they can see that defensive depth chart up on the screen? Can you see the players? Could you guys see the offensive one?
Yeah. Yeah, we was able to see.
Yeah, we could see the offensive.
Shoot, man. All right. Well, that might just have something that we have to shelve until next week.
I mean, so here's what we can do to make it a little bit more, just a smooth transition with the defense. So how do you feel about, Geno Stone and Tony Jefferson between those two?
Good question. Ashley, you want to go first? What's the playing time? What's the pecking order there?
I'm a big fan, like we talked about earlier, of Geno Stone, and I think Tony Jefferson is one of those players that he has that mentality, veteran mentality, that he makes those younger guys better. You want to be better when you're playing with somebody like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it should. So Geno Stone, he's taking over the Anthony Levine role on special teams. So I think that does wonders already. So that's somewhat. I think that's very telling. You know how Harv is in special teams and all things. So he's taking that role. I think you can go ahead, so almost in a weird way, just stamp him in there, right? Tony, I think Tony is going to be, like I said, he's going to be a nice sub package guy when it comes to like those dime backers or those basically dime backer roles and all those things. I love Tony in a box that just as this part of his career. Don't want in space is nice, almost like an off-ball linebacker. But Geno's, I feel like he's going to be the nice guy, nice backup to Marcus Williams or whoever, however we want to roll that. Obviously we got Kyle Hamilton and Chuck Clark, I should say Chuck Clark and Kyle Hamilton. But I think he would be a nice backup for Marcus Williams, in my opinion.
So my opinions on this: we saw Geno Stone. I saw it at the stadium practice actually, and it translated to the first preseason game. Stone is getting those first team reps as your Anthony Levine. So a lot of people, special teams, ho hum, blah blah blah. But I'm talking about the guy who's standing in front of the punter, who's making the calls at the line, who to block who, and also that guy is unblocked. If you notice, there's a reason that Levine is the first one down. It's because he's behind the pile of humanity in front of him, and he's calling and he's waiting to protect to see if there's anybody picked up, and then he's going down the field. So Geno Stone's going to be active on game days if that's the case. I mean, that's not just another that's right up there with Gunner as like a main special teams guy. That's not just one of the 10 guys chasing. He is the captain of that punt team. So with that being said, I expect to see Tony as the dime linebacker, maybe even in one situations like 1st and 10, 2nd and 12. I don't think it always has to be a pure passing situation to get some speed on the field and some coverage on the field, depending on the opponents, if they like to attack the middle of the field or if they have receivers they want to match up on. But I would put Tony Jefferson slightly ahead of Geno Stone on the depth chart because of that reason. I think Stone is going to carry us on special teams. And then, of course, you're going to have Kyle Hamilton, Chuck Clark, and Marcus Williams, who, by the way, Marcus Williams, multiple interceptions today at practice. Saw one number where he had 3 interceptions. I don't want to say that as fact, but Marcus Williams all over the field today, picking off a big day for the defense. We had a question down here. Sorry, guys, about that. I will get it. I'll make sure it's up next week and get it. The other versions that I had was like they were just too small for the screen, guys. So it was something about Steven Means. Steven Means, man, I had him in that green in the probably in. Like I didn't put him in the definitely in the lock. But the fact that Steven Means played his butt off, and then of course he was at the podium this week speaking. Actually, to me, like if they're putting you at the podium speaking, it doesn't seem like they're going to cut you anytime soon.
No. Sounds like he's going to be ready to go for us.
Yeah, especially with the situation with just just all our guys are coming back from injury. We're scarce at the outside linebacker position or pass rush position. So yeah, he's more than likely he will be on this roster. Maybe after the IR, maybe when we do a couple of PUPs or IR movements, he'll be here.
It's funny looking at his career. He hasn't played a whole lot. Like the last 2 years in Atlanta, he got a chance to finally play regularly. Not a lot of starts. He was injured. Matter of fact, in the press conference, he said he almost gave up on football until the Ravens brought him in like 5 years ago or something and gave him a chance to play and rejuvenated. But he reminds me a lot of like a Courtney Upshaw maybe, or somebody like that. Maybe a McPhee, somewhere in between there, where they're just really, really stout and they're aggressively. You're not going to see a ton of pass rush moves from them, but they're going to physically try to impose themselves on the left tackle, on the quarterback's blind side. Not a guy you want to get hit by, Steven Means. I mean, he comes with a lot of momentum.
Absolutely, he does, man. I just want to give a quick shout out to Lunch Break Hot Take. Those are my guys over there, Brian and Jose. They gave us a nice little plug in on their show, telling everybody to tune in, like, and subscribe us, man. So I just want to give my boys out there some love.
Yeah, go subscribe. Lunch Break Hot Take, Jose, Rodney, great show. I mean, man, and it's just great to get that kind of support from the Ravens community. Saw Alex in here, Lunch Break Hot Take, and Hen Dog. Is it safe to call him Hen Dog?
Yeah, you can call him Hen Dog, bro. You can call him Hen Dog.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call him Hen Dog. He's from the Ravens Ungatekeepers. Another great show. I mean, I've had support from a ton of people. Engraven, of course, been on the show a bunch of times. Michael Crawford, Chris, Carey from the Deep Cover Pod. Just great people, man. And this is the guy I wanted to get to. Again, Sean making his presence felt, and we appreciate it, man. Josh Ross. Okay, so you have Patrick Queen obviously making the team, and I have Josh Bynes making the team as a lock. But man, those young linebackers really look good. So we'll only have room for 2 more probably. You have Malik Harrison, Christian Welch, Josh Ross, Zacoby McClain, and Diego Fago. So, man, all those guys I think played really well in that game, and especially in coverage. Josh Ross, he got the tip on Geno Stone's interception. I saw him on another play I was studying where he didn't take the bait in the flat. And like we've seen, like Queen struggle to get used to his first couple of years where he just wants to go full speed. Josh Ross showed some patience. You don't see that from rookies, man. Like that was really, really impressive. So we have some options if we want to reset the clock on somebody like Christian Welch. Actually, Christian Welch has been on the team already. This is going to be his 3rd year. So if you want a cheap linebacker under control for 4 years instead of having Welch for 2, we might have some options here.
Yeah, I really like Malik Harrison, and I just think the linebacker position, I think fans, or at least some of the fans I've seen, they're a little too hard on them because I think they have just a lot of talent. It's just in past, maybe we haven't known what to do exactly with that talent. Because Patrick Queen, he has struggled, but he's been there, and I can see that in all of the linebackers as well.
Yeah, and actually, that's one guy that I noticed that we split on quite a lot is Patrick Queen. I just want to see something out of his physicality. Is my
Mhm.
main problem. Like coverage, I know it takes a while, but when you're getting pushed 5 yards backwards, like I'm like, man, like I'm used to Ray Lewis and C.J. Mosley, and I don't know if my expectations are just way too high. But I want my middle linebacker to be the baddest man on the field, and that's where I want to see a mentality change from Patrick Queen. But you seem really excited about his possibilities to turn it on in year 3 here.
I think that was maybe like an unconscious thing a lot of fans did is when he got drafted, I saw a lot of people say that he was going to be the next Ray Lewis, and that's never something you want to put on because he was 20 years old. That's never something you want to put on literally a kid coming into the league. So I think, especially for his age, just turning 23, he can only go up from here.
Ashley, I'm following up with you one more time. What do you want to see from Patrick Queen this year? Like specifically?
I think, like you said, the physicality aspect of it, I know that he had, I'm forgetting which game. I think it was the Chiefs game. He almost had that interception, but it wasn't, I'm forgetting what play it was, if you guys can remind me. It was like I don't know if it was the Chiefs game, but he almost had an interception, or he had an interception, and there was some penalty in the backfield or something that had happened that
That's the
got it
one.
taken.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember it now. It was on the sideline too. And we had some kind of defensive holding, some BS
Yeah.
call that took it away. And he almost had a fumble recovery that probably would have been for a touchdown, but Calais corralled it and didn't, I mean, you can't really blame him. But Patrick was upset. He was like, man, if I could have just picked it up, there was nobody in front of me. So, yeah, physicality for you from Patrick Queen.
Yeah, and I feel like there's just been like out of luck or just missed opportunities such as that we've been, fans may not see right away. And he's kind of one of those guys that is an easy target because he's younger and we had that unconscious bias placed on him so early.
All right, Garnet, it's your turn for this microphone, my man, and I know you're going to let me give it to me straight.
No, so I feel, I like what I saw for John Ross. I wasn't really having high expectations. Him having that connection with the defensive coordinator, obviously coming from Michigan with Mike McDonald, he showed a lot. Like I could tell he's like, how we always say a teacher's pet, but that's like the coach's pet, and you can see it in a good way. It's just he's very disciplined, and that's what I like about But when it comes to a middle linebacker, you have to be disciplined. That's one thing I liked about John Ross from what I've seen. If he can continue on that route of just being disciplined, being aggressive, just being smart with his play calling, man, it's good. Christian Welch is already out of here. I think he's not. Yeah, special teams guy that he was is good, but I think John Ross can bring more than just a special teams. And I couldn't
Who'd you
believe
say, Garnett? Who'd you say do you think is out of here?
Christian Welch.
Okay, you like Ross better than Welch.
Yes. Yeah, I just think it's more value. I had a good talk with MC, Michael Crawford. If you guys don't know Abdul Kari, right? And the one thing that we were talking about is just weighing the value of a special team or player versus an actual position player that brings more production at his actual position and also can play special team. Obviously, you'll choose obviously the guy that I said second, but with the Ravens, you somewhat always question, well, he's really a tremendous special teamer, but this, you know how it is, man. But that's what the conversation we had, and I think John Ross is just showing a lot more potential. I know it's one game, but I just believe that John Ross will show more potential just down the road as well in these other two games as well. Malik Harrison, I know he had a couple missed tackle over pursue, but I'm going to credit Malik Willis for being a tremendous athlete that he is, for making a miss and, doing whatever. But Malik Willis, he showed a lot of thumping ability, which is awesome.
All right, great thoughts there. So I'm going to transition us into the what are you looking for week 2 preseason and tie that together with the linebackers, because one of my favorites is the Ricochet Rabbit, Zakoby McClain. And Josh Ross outplayed him. Josh Ross outplayed every linebacker on the field that night. I really like Zakoby McClain's game. I think he does everything well, especially pass coverage. I think he had 6 passes defensed last year in the SEC. You see him with range, hitting people in the sideline. He plays with an intensity like you see from Pepe Williams. Zakoby McClain is that guy. He got outplayed by Josh Ross. I want to see him make his mark this week, both on special teams and on defense, because there's some real competition there. And Garnet, somebody's going to get put to the practice squad. Like, they're not all going to get claimed. So whoever wins out here and wins a spot, the more the merrier. Bring it on. So Ashley, starting with you, what are you looking for week 2 of the preseason? By the way, I also wanted you to comment what you were looking for at last week, Ashley, was Mike McDonald, the scheme, the communication. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on what they showed you on that, and then what are you looking for next week or this week?
I thought defense looked real good. And like we were talking about the linebackers, and what I see Sean saying here is about Queen not being able to cover a tackle. I think everybody on defense needs to work on tackling. That was an issue last year, and it seems to be carrying over. We touched on it earlier in the show. I just want to see more of that. I want to see them being, physical, not being afraid to get physical with players. It is a contact sport. I just want to see more complete, clean tackles like that.
All right. So how about that this week? That's what you're mainly looking for on defense, is just to clean up the tackling?
And obviously looking at our wide receiver core as well, since we still have those injuries. Shamar Bridges, clearly, like we were just hyping him up earlier, but I just want to see the rest of him as well.
Beautiful. So Garnet, remind me, what was it that you were looking for last week? I'm drawing a blank here. How did you feel about that? And then what are you looking for this week?
So last week, I wanted to see, obviously on the offense, I just want to see more. We got what I wanted to see a little bit, to be honest about it. Under the center, we saw a lot of it, which was amazing. Just airing the ball out in certain situations, which we did. So 2 checks right there. Defense, just Travis Jones, check with a lot of things, to be honest with you. But for this week, I really want to just see just aggressive, discipline, just hard hitting, wrapping up, like how Ashley talking about when it comes to the tackling on defense. That's the biggest thing when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. Just be disciplined and be physical. Like, I want to see how when Geno Stone, like I said earlier, when he flew roaring downhill and just like a bat out of hell, I want to see all 11 playing like that on defense. Like, that's the real Ravens way of playing defense. Just everybody just being physical, hair on fire. I'm going to mess you up, and you're going to be hurt. Like, I'm not wishing pain on anybody, but I'm wishing pain on somebody. All right, okay.
Nobody in particular, just bring the pain.
Yeah, just bring the pain, man. Just let them feel it, because, like, make it hard for these coaches to make a decision on who to keep, man. And then when it comes to, like, Shamar Bridges, I want to repeat. I want to see more of Tyler Beatty. We really didn't see much out of him. He was very indecisive in the backfield. Maybe because we just had, just a bad line, after the starters were out. So, we can shoot him some bell on that, but I want to see some more out of him. I don't really care about seeing Isaiah Lackley. We already know what he is, man. This is what it is. But, yeah, that's all I want to see, really, out of all of that.
Okay, great. So a lot of great stuff there from both of you. Hey, Engraven came in there, finally caught it live. He likes to say he's on CPT, but I want to say Engraven up here in Baltimore, we call that BPT. All right. Now, I mean, you see what I look like over there. I got to be careful with how I put it's BPT, sir. And of course, he's saying hi to Huddle It Up, Garnet, Ashley. My name's Jason. You can feel free to call me Jason. But Engraven, man, means a lot that he came by. Engraven Vids. I like to call Engraven the ambassador of the Ravens fan base because he gets fans from all over the place, not just Ravens fans. When they want to check in to see what's happening with the Ravens, they see his face up there. They click on it. So, yeah, Tyler Beatty was mine last week. Garnett, you brought him up. He didn't get run with the ones. He was later in the pecking order. I would like to see what he could do behind the offense. But for me, the one group I'm looking for, because I think they're going to be tested, is the corners. Maybe Brandon Stevens plays this week since he's back at practice. He's been back at practice. Pepe Williams played a lot last week. Not sure what Jalen Armour-Davis, his status is going to be after banging his head today at practice. But guess who the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals is going to be? Anybody know?
Is it Trace?
It is.
Anybody know his little TikTok song?
What, throw it on a dime? I don't know the song, but I know that it's like, I don't know the song word for word, but I know.
Oh, man.
It is, dude. It's throw it on a dime, and I wouldn't have remembered that. So, man, if I could have like a score counter, man, that's one for Ashley. But yeah, I mean, all seriousness though, guys, Trace is humming. Trace is a borderline starter in this league. I mean, he's not a top of the 20 quarterback, I don't think. But when you start getting around that 30 range, Trace deserves to be there, man. Like, he's got good timing in his passes. He's got some mobility. And, of course, he knows the Baltimore Ravens. And, of course, I'm sure he wants to show the Baltimore Ravens what they let go of. I'm sure he wants to show out. This won't be just another game for Trace. Preseason or not, he's going to want to show us up. So the Cardinals, of course, are going to spread us out. They're going to throw the ball. They have decent receivers, even though I saw all of them are like under 6 foot. It's amazing the size of their receivers. I wish I would have wrote it down. But it's like 5'10", 5'8", 5'9", and that's not even counting Hollywood. They're running out some shorter receivers. So we have big cornerbacks we can cover with, especially if you put Kyle Hamilton in the slot. You got Hamilton, you got Stevens, you got Armour-Davis. Who is going to cover these shorter, quicker guys against a quarterback whose Trace's arm isn't an A-quality arm, but his timing on his passes are really good. We saw that in the Browns game, the cramp game. We've seen it when he's in there. He makes his throws on time. So, long story, even a little bit longer, I want to see our cornerbacks come to play and see if somebody can make a play on this Cliff Kingsbury offense that they're going to be facing. And then on our offensive side of the ball, just continue the offensive line play. It's going to be a good chance to get a good look at these young receivers that we brought up earlier. Mekhi Polk, Shamar Bridges. Is Slade Bolden going to play? Benjamin Victor, can he make a push? What do we have in Bailey Gaither? There's going to be a lot of opportunities for Ravens receivers in this game. Just give me good O-line play. Give me good cornerback play. That's kind of where I stand, Garnett. What you think? What you think, buddy?
Yeah, I'm right. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Just good O-line play, D-line play, discipline. I want to see the edge rusher be disciplined on the corners, on the edges, I should say, not corners, but on the edges. And you made a great point when it comes to these short receivers. All them guys are fast, like legitimate fast. So, you biting on a double on a pump fake, or I would say a play action or whatever, you're paying for it. So, yeah, you read your keys, understand what where you need to be. Communication is key. Yeah, there's a lot of things that could go wrong if we're not communicating correct. So I'm right there with you, man.
All right, excellent. Ashley, we're in the final thoughts portion. About to wrap it up here for go to sleep by maybe or stay up studying film. So here we are, final thoughts. Thank you to everybody who joined us, commented, and it just makes my day, man. I love it. Yeah, man, and we got donation, man. Thank you, Jamie Gomez. Let's get our only loss out of the year out of the way. Trace going to be rolling dices. Yeah, man. Garnett and I were kind of secretly hoping that the winning streak kind of comes to an end just so we don't have to hear about it, talk about it Ashley didn't disagree with us last week when we said that. But yeah, it would be nice to get something out of the way and just be ready for this regular season. So, Ashley, final thoughts time.
Well, I still enjoy the moral victory aspect of it all. I still felt good. I still, had to get on the Titans fans about it. Still win. So, but yes, getting it out of the way just so we can stop talking about it. I agree with that. I'm feeling really confident about our team moving forward as we get closer to the regular season. I don't think they're going to lose this game. I don't, but maybe that's just optimism. Maybe that's just me riding off of our 21 game winning streak.
21, yeah, put up the right hands too, man. Yep.
Yeah, look at you.
All right, Garnet, here we go, bro. Week 1, yeah, Flacco. We kind of ran out of time. We're going to be talking about Mr. Flacco in the coming weeks for sure.
Yeah,
Garnet, final thoughts here as we head on.
Oh man, so final thoughts, man. I'm running a little dry, and no, I'm not. So here's my thing. Arizona comes around. We go to Arizona, road trip. I want to see what the young guy's gonna do because it's the first time for these guys to actually travel. Obviously for the rookies or whatever. I want to see how it's dry heat out there, a lot of it. So I just want to see how they're gonna perform in those type of conditions out there in Arizona, man. That's real. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about Pepe at all. Yeah, he dropped the interception earlier in that first game. I want to see what he does in this type of game. I think this will be a perfect game to see the quickness and the abilities of what he can do with these, short guy versus short guy. Just see what he does, man.
Look at Yuri shooting a shot here. See this guy?
You know what? Hey, I'll try my best to go to that game, man.
All right. Maybe we will have Yuri on. Maybe we will have. Man, I just want to say thank you to my football family. Love my football family. Thanks for everybody joining in. Spread the word. Got great comments, man, which really makes my day. Thank you to all. Hopefully we'll have a nice game on Sunday night, nationally televised, I believe. And I just don't want to hear the word soft tissue. Okay. One of my 2 least favorite words to hear right now. Hopefully Thailand gets better. Hopefully Linderbaum, when he comes back, he'll be going. Hopefully JK gets stronger every day. Being positive reports here, especially Marcus Peters back at practice, Brandon Stevens back at practice. Let's just get healthy and the main goal here, prepare for the regular season. So on that, we're going to go ahead and end it. Good night to my football family. Thank you. Love you guys. Ashley, Garnet, say good night to the people now.
Good night. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on post notifications, like the video. Remember, we stream 8:30 every Wednesday night.
You heard the lady. I don't got to say much. Good night. Peace. Have a successful week. Have a better weekend.
Love you guys. Well done. Thank you, Ashley, for that too. I always forget.
Yep.
Thank you, Garnet. Hang on, guys.